They say names have power. You look at a map of these hollers, and the names tell you exactly what kind of life folks lived here. We parked the Jeep down at Bethel Methodist, quiet as a held breath. Standing there, you got two choices climbing up into the spine of the cove. Two roads, two different destinies. One leads up Heards Mountain, high ground orchard fields, the kind of earth that grows apples sweet enough to ship to the Queen. That road, it survived. It pays its rent. But the other one carries a name that don't make no promises. Hungrytown. Old-timers didn't name a place Hungry because the harvest was good. We reckoned we could push the Nomad up through there, maybe find a cut through the map forgot. But the mountain has a way of taking back what belongs to it. We found out the hard way. Sometimes the gravel runs out, sometimes the briars fight back, and sometimes the road just ends. It didn't take long for the pavement to quit. We turned onto Hungrytown Road, and the air just changed, heavier somehow. Now, a map is just a drawing on a screen. It don't tell you about the grade. It don't tell you that the county stopped pouring gravel up here about the time my granddaddy was born. We were grinding, pushing those fat tires against a gravity that felt personal. You ride a holler named Hungrytown, and you start wondering about the folks who tried to scratch a living out of this thin soil. Wasn't no rich bottomland up here, just rock and root and winters that stayed too long. Then the road started closing in. The gravel turned to grass, and the grass turned to a tangled mess of briar and blowdown. We were close, maybe 300 feet from the ridgeline where we aimed to be, but the mountain decided it was done with visitors. The path just evaporated. The GPS said go. The land said no. Sometimes you gotta know when you're beat. Swallowing your pride tastes a lot like dust and dried blood. We turned the bike around. The mountain won this round. Bike went down hard. Took a spill in the brush. Mountain took a little piece of flesh as a toll. We limped back down to the gravel, shook off the dust, and turned the Nomad toward the other ridge. Ground our way up the switchbacks, climbing out of the heavy air of the valley floor. Old-timers call this the thermal belt. At night, the cold air sinks into the bottoms, but up here on the ridge, the warm air rises. It hugs these slopes. That warmth is the difference between a frost-killed bud and a bumper crop. In 1966, right after the war, folks like Dr. William Boaz figured that out. They realized this red clay in that warm air could grow something valuable. For miles, we weren't just riding a gravel road, we was riding a supply line. This was the artery. For 100 years, teams of mules hauled wagons up these grades, dragging timber and empty barrels, and coming back down heavy with fruit. The road twisted like a serpent because it had to. It had to keep the grade shallow enough so the wagons wouldn't run away on the descent. Every turn in this gravel was engineered for a payload. We hit the ridgeline, but the story wasn't at the top. It was down the backside. The Nomad dropped down into the holler, rolling right into the heart of the Crown Orchard. This is where the magic happened. This is home to the Albemarle Pippin. It's an ugly apple, green, rough skin, lopsided. But back in the day, the taste of it drove the British Empire crazy. They say Queen Victoria tasted a pippin in the 1830s and removed the import tax just so she could get 'em cheaper. Sitting down there in the quiet, you can almost hear the ghosts of this place. It wasn't just pickers. It was the coopers, the barrel makers. There were cooperages dotted all over these hills, hammers ringing out, building the thousands of barrels needed to ship this fruit to London. Covesville down below wasn't just a church stop. It was a global shipping hub. And this dirt we're on was the start of a journey that ended on the Queen's table. But looking at the map, reality set back in. To get out of this history lesson, we had to pay the toll. We had to climb that wall all over again. Gravity don't care about Queen Victoria. It just knows I got a heavy bike and a long way to go. Tally, 17 miles, nearly 2,500 feet of climbing, and one bruised ego. On paper, that ain't a long day, but out here in the hollers, miles don't measure the same. We spent half this ride fighting a road that didn't want to be ridden, and the other half climbing a wall just to see some apples. That's the trade you make. You give the mountain your sweat and maybe a little skin, and the mountain, it gives you a story.